Hi, so if you've looked at this video, you have chosen a clay pack. Okay, I'll just go through and tell you what's in your pack first. So you have your clay. Now this is air dry clay. Okay, so it's great in that we don't need a kiln to fire it. But what you do need to make sure is that you always seal it up. Okay, so seal it, whatever you don't use, make sure you seal it with some tape when you put it back in. You have some tools to be able to play with your clay, so for carving and shaping and drawing designs on. You can also kind of use the wooden bits in the middle to roll on. Great thing about clay is you can pretty much use anything around the house. And you then have some acrylic paints and a paintbrush to be able to paint your creation when it's dried, if you want to. Also in your pack are your inspiration cards, so they might give you some ideas of types of things you might want to create. I decided to think about what Kinlochleven means for me, in the fact of if I was doing something for this clay pack, and I suppose the big thing for me would be neighbours, community really. So the community card is probably the one that sticks out for me, in that my time in Kinlochleven, the best thing that I loved was my neighbours, and it was always just great to know there was somebody there that I could have a chat with, have a wee dram with, or just have someone to, ask a favour of. It was really great that there was really fantastic neighbours. So I'm going to show you some tips when you're using the clay. So you can pretty much do this on any surface. I'm outside because it's sunny today. I've just got like a chopping board almost, got a flexible camping one. You take off some clay what you want, cut open the pack. As I said, always seal the pack over really well. Okay, and then to play with the kelp, you can see when you first take it out that it's going to be soft and pliable and it won't be too dry or anything. But once you've worked with it for a while, if it does get a bit dry, and my tip is to have a bit of water and is to wet your hands as opposed to the clay, so that you can then just mix it in. So you're just going to knead the clay essentially, just to get it really, really pliable. Okay, it's a bit like Play-Doh for adults. I do love clay. Okay, and then think of whatever you're going to create, and doesn't need to be an amazing sculpture. It's just a representation of something for you. So I'm going to make a little house. Okay, and as you can see, I have made some to show you beforehand. So I'm going to aim to make it in one piece, because one of the good things about clay is that it's really nice if you shape it all together. If we do make it in two pieces, so for example, if I make a rectangular shape, I might use a sausage first and shape it out. So if I make this rectangular shape for the base of my house, you see it just about coming together there. Obviously you can take your time, and if I make the roof separately, so I'm going to try and make that kind of 3D feeling. What you need to do when you connect those two pieces of clay, because you don't want it to dry and it to be separately in two pieces, so my tip would be to use one of your tools out of your wee kit, and for instance to score the top of this piece of clay and to score the roof when I've made it. My amazing roof building skills here, as you can see, if you take time. So I would score the underneath of the roof here, and maybe add a little bit of extra water just to try and really connect these two pieces together. And you can use the tools or your fingers to kind of go in there and press it down. Obviously I'm doing this really right now. It's not a very good house, is it? My 7-year-old might tell me off for this one. But the good thing with clay is you can just roll it up again and start again if you're not happy with your creation. Just make sure that add a bit of water if it's getting a bit dry. But you can do that and shape it out. It's not too bad. One of the good things with clay is people maybe expect it to look a little bit different. Everything is a bit unique. And then you can use these tools to make nice little marks or shapes, or do some carvings in it. So for instance, let's have a look what I've got. I could maybe use this tool to make some tile shapes onto the roof. Okay, and it is really shapes, because if you're going to paint over the top of them, the paint can be quite thick as it goes on, and so what you'll see is your crevices. So I'm going to do the front and back, with this shape. Think about what's in your kitchen cupboard though, because little kitchen implements might be quite useful for making shapes. And then let's have a look what else we got in here. Oh, we can make the door. These are quite cool little kind of curved edges here. Be careful, some of them are quite sharp. So I might make my door using this piece here. Okay, and then, oh, let's have a look. I'd like a little kind of circle-y or square for the windows. Oh, I'm going to use the end of this tool here to make a couple of little window shapes. Okay, so hopefully you can see it's kind of a representation of a house. Now what I would do is leave that to dry. It can take 24 to 48 hours to really kind of dry fully because they're solid. So if you're making something that isn't fully solid, if it's an outdoor side, then it'll probably take 24 hours, but I would leave this for 48 hours to dry. And it'll probably end up being something like this, so you can see the color will change slightly, and it is pretty hard. Okay, my recommendation then is to get like you could use a paintbrush, or there's a wee brush on the end of here, and is to go over it and just to kind of flick out any little bits which you're not happy with. So for instance, if there's a bit of clay that stick up, you can kind of almost carve it whilst it's dry, and just any little bits that you need to stick out, so you can kind of give it a second coating. It's almost like sanding. Okay, you could have a little piece of sandpaper if you really wanted something quite to take quite a bit of clay off an edge or something. Okay, so you just use your tools to maybe add in anything drier and add a bit of definition if you wanted to. Okay, and give it a wee brush over to get rid of any dust. Okay, and then you can paint it. Now you have in your pack some acrylic paints. Okay, so you could use these acrylic paints to paint them however you would like and whatever colors you would want. You can add water to acrylics, or you can use them exactly as they are. Kind of depends on the thickness and the texture of what you would like. So you can see here what I did was paint mine white all over first. So you can see I made a little, I don't know, funny looking gnome creature maybe, and I've done it all white just to kind of give me a good base, and then I would paint over in color. So you can see these three little houses so far I've done in white, and I've put red roofs on them. So I went with a kind of simple but maybe effective looking design. They're not perfect, but they're okay. This one here I actually made a little bowl. Okay, I can maybe show you a kind of simple kind of way to want a bowl. You would make maybe some clay the size of a tennis ball. Okay, if we're going to make a little dish or a little pot, you know, type of thing that you might put keys in at the door or your earrings in at night. Okay, so roll it into a ball, and remember again, if it's getting dry, oh, I better seal up that clay packet. Roll it into a bowl, a bowl. That would be good if you could just roll it into a bowl straight away. So, and then use your pinching technique. So put your thumb in the middle and press it down, and then just use your thumb and your finger to eventually kind of pull it out. Okay, and it'll start to form a bottom, and then you can put it down and you can just keep kind of going. So this could be a little egg cup. Remember when you're a kid and you'd have, you know, soldiers, egg and dippy egg and soldiers, as we called it in my house, you know, so maybe a little egg cup could be quite cute. And you can keep going, you can make it thinner, you can make it bigger, and it's nice because you've got an edge here that you can actually then use your tools to carve in and carve patterns, draw words, you know, whatever you would like. If it's getting a bit dry as you're doing it, maybe you can just add a bit of water. Okay, you can use your tools to kind of help push things in different directions if you want. So for example, if I just want to flatten a bit here, and it's really up to you to just play about with it and be creative. Imagine that you're a child again playing with Play-Doh and plasticine at school, and think about the things you would have created, and don't be afraid to make a mistake. Okay, so you can leave these to dry, you can cut bits off if you're not happy with it, you can start again, you know. So if I wanted a straight edge here, I can literally cut off the edging with one of these tools. Okay, so you can go and be as messy as you want with the clay. It dries pretty quickly onto your hands, and see what you can create. So just think of a memory and then have a go with it and see what you do. And we would love it if you would give us one of these beautiful little things that you might create that we can put onto the community tree, or if you want to keep your creations, then if you could take a photograph of it and we can print them onto something to add to the community tree, it'd be really lovely. Okay, so have a lot of fun with your clay pack. I'm sure some of your creations will be absolutely amazing. I need to keep practicing at my little houses. Bye.